Another year has ended, and to close out the year, Intrepid Studios has done something a little different. Instead of closing out the year with a push of some new game content, they gave us a look behind the scenes at 4 different teams at Intrepid Studios. They showed us the engineering team, environment and audio, combat, and some parts of the gathering team. Let's break this down into the good, the bad, and the ugly for our Ashes of Creation 2022 recap. To start with the good, this live stream was the type of live stream that Steven does best. Steven is a very charismatic individual. He's not just the owner or the creative director. He's a good leader who has a solid set of ideas. He knows how to build a team of people. One of the major complaints over the years has been that Steven does the majority of the talking. It was great to see Steven doing the questioning, doing the interviewing, and letting the people he has hired do the talking. Remember, at the end of the day, Steven is very important, yet he's an actual minor player in the actual production. Steven cannot jump in and take over the hands-on stuff. He doesn't have a background in engineering. He doesn't have a background in art and animation. He can't physically design the combat system. Steven is the guy with the ideas, the goals, the vision. But his people, his team, turn that vision into a reality. That is sometimes the best way to lead. You aren't bogged down with knowledge of what is or is not possible. Instead, you are constantly pushing the vision to the edge, and your team is constantly trying to figure out if your destination is possible. It was really good to hear the team break down things like Unreal Engine, Nanite, Lumen. Sure, Steven has already talked about the move to Unreal Engine 5, but hearing the engineering team talk about Lumen, the fact that it's a ray tracing solution using software instead of hardware, was very good, because now you're hearing it from the experts. You start to feel more confident about the answer. The best part is, even though a lot of the answers you've already heard, consistency is always great. If the answer is the same from the top of the company to the bottom of the company, it means everyone is on the same page, and that tells you a lot about the culture of a company. It was also good to hear them talk about things like the character creator and how what they're doing is actually bleeding edge technology. The reason why is most of what they've done with the character creator has been a result of, is this even possible? They aren't just benchmarking what other teams have done. They are literally taking things to the extreme and coming up with new methods of doing things. They are also keeping in mind, what does the character creator look like during creation? How does that translate into what the character will look like live in-game? And how does the creator benefit the rest of the team? Now, instead of having artists having to make all the NPCs, game designers can use the character creator, create the NPCs they need, and this frees up character artists to do other work. If you haven't listened to this live stream, you definitely want to listen to at least a few bits and pieces. One is that we will be getting the tank preview, maybe in January, maybe not, but definitely soon. We will also be seeing the Cyclops raid boss in the next 2 to 3 months. Also, the discussion during the gathering systems section where they talk about non-binary results is very good. Things are not going to be this equals that. Instead, they are looking at non-binary results, which means your action can equal a whole slew of things that you can be shaping the world. Finally, I was really impressed with what they're talking about in their audio design. Kat Neary is their lead audio designer, and she was talking about going above and beyond just the basics that you would find in a game. Instead of doing just 4 variations for the seasons, they're talking about doing 8 variations so that during the changes, they will be seamless and you won't get a jarring, noticeable change. Now, I know a lot of people, you don't even listen to the music in games, but I think Ashes of Creation is going to start to change that, both with their solid immersive in-game audio, as well as a soundtrack by Bear McCreary. I really do believe a lot more people are going to listen to the game audio, or at least give it a solid chance before they turn it off and play their YouTube playlist. Next up, we have the bad. Now, before you want to take me out back and beat me behind the woodshed, yes, there are some things that Intrepid Studios need to work on because they definitely fall in the bad category. And I'm not sure what's going on with Intrepid and why they absolutely refuse to answer the question about cosmetics. Each and every month, like clockwork, new cosmetics come out. And each and every month, people keep asking the same questions. What building does the freehold cosmetic go on? What ship does the ship cosmetic go on? And it's always the same answer: silence. I think the number one thing Intrepid needs to address in 2023 is the cosmetic issue, both parts of it. The first part is answering what building do the freehold cosmetics go on, not just the ones that they sell each month, but all the ones from the past and going into the future. And they definitely need to clean up some of that lore text, because this month's lore for the mount says it's a beast of burden, but it says it's a mount cosmetic. It's clear that the problems surrounding cosmetics are growing, and it's something Intrepid should be able to deal with very quickly and get it off the table. The second part is a better answer to the exclusivity question. Intrepid has kept a prohibitive paywall in place for years. In order to buy individual cosmetics, you need to buy an expensive Founders Pack. $375 if you want to be able to buy all the cosmetics each month. Now, I know that Steven wants exclusivity, and I've done other videos on this, but I don't understand why they want to continue to exclude people who want to give them money, but they don't have enough money to drop down on the big dollars Founders Packs. People want to support Ashes of Creation. Obviously, this method of selling items in development is nothing new. Star Citizen is literally $537 million in development money from 4.3 million people. That's $124 per person. If Intrepid moved to that sort of monetization, taking down the paywall, I think they would build a ton of confidence in the MMORPG space because they'd have more than enough money to see the project through to completion, and a lot of fears about Intrepid Studios and Ashes folding would all be relieved. And finally, the referral program. It's been like 5 years since we've been able to properly track our referrals. I think if Intrepid could address the cosmetics and the referral tracking, they'd find a lot more goodwill in the overall MMORPG space because they would get back to their original design of being transparent. Which, this is actually pretty impressive if you think about it. There aren't major issues. Are there distractions? Absolutely. But are there major areas of concern? No, absolutely not. Intrepid Studios is in a much better place than, say, Soulbound Studios, City State Entertainment, Dynamite Studios, who are all just about dead in the water. For as much hate as people seem to have about Intrepid, the critics can never really pin down anything other than the cosmetics and the referral program. And if you have something that's really bothering you about Intrepid, this is the time for you to leave a comment. And as we move into 2023, we can relook at people's concerns and open a dialogue with Intrepid. And finally, the ugly. So there's really only one thing regarding Ashes of Creation I would put in the ugly category, and that's Alpha 1 testing was 17 months ago. Going 17 months between any sort of non-NDA testing has been rough. Not because we shouldn't give Intrepid the time they need to build the product, but because they pushed and pushed and pushed so hard early on, and now they're just sort of dead in the water, no sail, no rudder, and although they have a plan, that plan isn't apparent to the rest of the community. Now, I'm okay with them taking their time, but what I'm really afraid of is two things. Number one, I'm afraid that they are going to move into Alpha 2 too soon. They keep saying ramping up to Alpha 2, but then they talk about how much is left to build. So I really hope that they don't launch Alpha 2 too soon and suffer from alpha burnout. The other major concern is that ArcAge 2 is on the horizon, and I can really see it punching a hole in the Intrepid fanbase. ArcAge 2 is going to be action-based. If it comes out in the West, and it isn't a pay-to-win clown fiesta, and the combat is responsive and good, Intrepid is going to be facing some major problems. Intrepid has been banking on this hybrid combat that doesn't seem to be winning the hearts of anyone. Tab people want the game to be more tab. Action people want the game to be more action, and if ArcAge 2 delivers on good action combat, then Intrepid may be left holding a combat system that nobody is really crazy falling in love with. With that said, I think if Intrepid continues to do live streams like the one they did this month, answers the cosmetic question, gets the referral question off the table, I think they will start to win back some of the people they've lost over the years. And now, what say you? What did you think of the year 2022 for Ashes of Creation? Was it everything you wanted? Was there something more that you wanted? Do you think Intrepid is hitting home runs, or do you think Intrepid is striking out? Don't hold back. Be brutally honest in the comments. With that said, I will see you guys in 2023 for more Ashes 101 and Ashes of Creation recaps.